A false necromancer with insufficient troops, rejected and pursued by others. A real necromancer, countless skeletons, achieving a dominant position. After obtaining the double-through gate, Wu Heng discovered that the original world was filled with zombies. When the plan of a fallen master fell through, another plan to survive began. Wu Heng chose to become a necromancer. Is it not allowed to summon undead spirits in another world? The entire planet in the apocalypse is a source of troops. Can't the zombie world survive? I will learn skills in living in a different world. From then on, an army of undead equipped with modern weapons appeared in the world. The natural disaster is overwhelming, with millions of skeletons. Undead Bone Dragon, Undead King. Double Door plus Necromancer plus Magic plus Fantasy World plus Undead Scourge. Keywords of the novel. Dead Mage's Crazy Garrison in the End of the World with no pop-ups. Dead Mage's Crazy Garrison in the End of the World TXT Complete Collection Download. Dead Mage's Crazy Garrison in the End of the World Latest Chapter Reading. Chapter 1. The Necromancer Has No Future. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 1. The Necromancer Has No Future. Haishi Town, City Hall. Wu Heng. After the desk was filled with documents, the serious-looking middle-aged woman glanced at the information and then at the young man across from her. Wu Heng nodded and said, "Yes. Professional necromancer." The woman frowned slightly, her eyes full of doubt, and continued without waiting for an answer. Although the kingdom allows necromancers to exist, no city welcomes a necromancer to appear in the city. As soon as these words were spoken, the originally noisy hall suddenly quieted down. Everyone looked towards this side, their eyes full of strangeness and curiosity. I don't seem to understand why some people still choose the profession of necromancer during this period. Wu Heng still said, "Thank you very much for Ms. Moira's reminder. I will abide by the laws and order of the kingdom and Blackstone Town." The middle-aged woman carefully glanced at his expression. But without saying much, he took out a few documents from the drawer and handed them over, saying, "Take a careful look at these and sign your name. The Dead Restriction Act, the reporting process for family members of the dead, the Corpse and Bones Protection Act, notice on application for black magic experiment, human trials." Taking the document and seeing the name and content, Wu Heng's eyes widened a bit. The kingdom of Yeko allows the existence of necromancers, but gradually increases restrictions and laws on necromancers. Among them, it is not allowed to privately transform undead creatures such as skeletons and decaying corpses, and it is not allowed to conduct corpse tests and undead magic tests. Theft and testing corpses are all serious crimes here. A necromancer who is unable to transform into a undead unit and is not allowed to conduct magical research, his future can be imagined. Not to mention whether there is still a future in academia, the combat aspect has basically been abolished. That's also why everyone present showed great surprise when they heard the necromancer. Wu Heng had some knowledge before, but he never thought it would be more strict than he imagined. I carefully reviewed it, signed my name one by one, and handed it back again. After carefully checking, the middle-aged woman instructed, "All right, after the process is completed, remember the contents of these bills. I don't want to see you again on the head rack. Remember your advice." Wu Heng stood up and bowed, then walked out. Walking out of the hall, one can still hear voices about oneself behind. For a young man with black hair and black pupils who chose a necromancer, everyone felt puzzled. Stepping out of the hall, he ignored the voices behind him. I don't know what kind of heinous thing that necromancer did, and how he would be treated like this. For the sake of a profession, so many separate restrictions have been established. I have basically cut off the development of this profession. As Ms. Moira said, choosing a necromancer is like putting a shackle on oneself. Unable to summon undead creatures, unable to experiment with magic, there is basically no future left. But Wu Heng still chose this profession. Not only because this is the only legal profession he can come into contact with, but more importantly, he believes that having a necromancer in his own hands can lead to better development. As I walked out of the city hall, my mind moved and a transparent panel that only I could see appeared in front of me. Name: Wu Heng. Occupation: Necromancer. Level 1, 10/300. Attributes: Strength 9, Agility 11, Physical Fitness 12, Intelligence 14, Perception 10, Charm 12. Skill: Bone Repair Technique. After the job transfer, Wu Heng appeared on this panel. Having professions, attributes, and skills similar to the panels in online games. You can more intuitively see your physical condition. Leaving the central area all the way, we entered a blacksmith shop on the commercial street. Stepping into the door, I could smell a smell of flaxseed oil. "Boss, I'm here to pick up the weapons I ordered this morning," Wu Heng said to the counter. The middle-aged boss put down his wiped iron sword and looked up. "Oh, it's you. They're all over there," a total of 7 silver coins. Wu Heng confirmed the weapon he had purchased. A iron sword, a short spear. They were all selected in the morning. Point out 7 silver coins and place them on the counter in front of the boss. "What's going on in the morning?" The boss put away the silver coins and casually asked. In the morning, Wu Heng came to buy weapons, but as soon as he had selected them, he was taken away by the guards in the city. The boss thought it was a mistake, but he didn't expect to come back by noon and there was no change. "I just came to Haishi town and asked me to register at the city hall. I don't understand the process even when I first arrived." Registration. This also requires registration. The boss frowned, having never heard of such a statement. There are quite a few outsiders in Haishi town, and if they all need to be registered, the city hall will be more lively than the market. Asking for my name and asking me to follow the rules or something made me quite nervous. Wu Heng scratched his head with a smile. "Haha. Those guys are just idle. You have to take care of anything useful or useless, as long as it's okay." The boss also chuckled and comforted. Wu Heng smiled and nodded. "Pack the weapons and greet the boss before leaving the store." Without continuing to stroll, away from the commercial streets and crowds, we headed towards the residential area of Beiqing district. Passing through the dark alley, I arrived at my rented place. The room is not big, with a living room and a bedroom. There are no other decorations besides tables, chairs, and wooden beds. The layout is relatively rudimentary. Putting the backpack weapon aside, he picked up the bread on the table and patted his stomach. Thinking in my heart about Blackstone Town's attitude towards the necromancer. It feels like a criminal released on bail, and their behavior should receive attention from all aspects. In the city, it's still important to keep a low profile and gradually improve yourself. Stuff the remaining dough into your mouth. Getting up again, one hand picked up an iron sword and spear, while the other hand took off the bronze key hanging around his neck and walked to the bedroom door, gently turning it. As the door opened, a light curtain appeared inside the room. On the other end, it's not the familiar bedroom, but a reflection mirror-like image. Wu Heng took a deep breath and walked directly into the picture, appearing on the other side. In the moment of sensory recovery, a strong and rotten odor permeated the air. Familiar desk, wooden bed, monitor, and sound system. A wild beast-like roar came from outside the window. Coming back, the familiar yet unfamiliar modern world. Come to the window and look out. The zombies downstairs gathered in a pile, and under the torn clothes, one could see the bones and open organs, pushing and colliding with each other, wandering aimlessly. Among them, you can also see some familiar figures. Sure enough, it's still like this. I have opened a new book. This is a double-threaded article. I hope everyone likes it. End of this chapter. Chapter 2, Home Lost. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The source has no content or has errors. Chapter 3, Accumulating Forces. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The source has no content or has errors. Chapter 4, Door Not Closed. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. The source has no content or has errors. Chapter 5, Upgraded. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. The source has no content or has errors. Chapter 6, Lifetime Habits. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. The source has no content or has errors. Chapter 7, Skeleton Dog. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. The source has no content or has errors. Chapter 8, Has Anyone Testified for You? You are listening at Novel Full.audio. The source has no content or has errors. Chapter 9, Survivors. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. The source has no content or has errors. Chapter 10, Explosive Equipment. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. The source has no content or has errors.